Hello, welcome. It is crafting day, and I am super excited to craft with you today the menu board. I probably say that every month, but I just love all these projects. So what are you gonna do? I hope you do too. Let's see if I can bring up comments here. So let me know if you are crafting or when you're crafting. What day have you scheduled yourself? If you're able to catch me live, hop in and say hi, even if you're not crafting along. Come in and visit. Okay, I think I can see comments. We're good there. So, and if you are crafting at another time, let me know. Comment replay. I love seeing when you guys are able to craft. So, let's see. I have all my bits here, I'm pretty sure, hopefully. So the February 2022 Joy Box is the menu board. And I am going to be going live possibly this Saturday or Sunday in the group, sharing my menu tips and tricks. I guess I wouldn't consider myself an expert, but I have been menu planning for a really long time. And I've played around with different techniques and things like that. And I finally found a system that works, and I think that is the key, is to keep trying. So anyways, I will not talk about that today. Today is crafting day. So I just wanted to let you know that I will be going live in the group to visit with you about menu planning. And I'm excited about that. So in your box, you should have your insert here that explains everything that you get. It also has links to log into your member space if you need to adjust anything or make changes to your account. There's a link here for our group, which if you're watching this video, you're possibly in the group. If you're catching this live, we also have the videos posted on our website. So if you're watching on the website and haven't popped into the Facebook group yet, we'd love to have you in there. So that's another thing to mention. If Facebook is ever down or you're not able to log into Facebook or whatever the case may be, you can get the videos on or the replays on our website. We do have a library of all of those. Again, and that's in the member space. You can find that there, or it's at the bottom of the Joybox website. So Redbyrd Designs /Joybox. Scroll all the way down. You'll be able to find the login for the member space and for accessing past tutorials. There's also the email. If anything arrives broken or damaged or mangled, please email us right away. We want to make sure that we get a replacement out to you as soon as possible. If your box comes so mangled, it's just beat up, chewed up, it's run the gauntlet in the postal service, please take a picture of it and email it to us. And then we'll also send you, at that time, we will send you a replacement box. And then we will start a claim with the post office, but we need pictures of that to start that claim. So if that happens, one, we will send you a replacement at no extra cost as soon as possible, and then we will get a claim started with the postal service, and there is absolutely no work on your part for that part of it. Okay. In the box, you have a 1x10x18 board. You have a baggie of letters, so you have the menu word, and then Monday through Sunday or Sunday through Saturday, however you want to display your menu board. You have 4 paint pots. Let's see, do I have them here? I don't. You have a white, a gray, a black, and a brown. And I don't have pots, so I'm just gonna pull right from my bottles here. I have just enough for that. And then you have, so paint pots, you have the white paint, the black paint, and then you have a gray paint. I didn't use gray in this example, but I included that in case you wanted to mix it up a little bit. Hi Darla, happy Thursday. And then the brown pot is actually the brown antiquing wax. And so I'll talk about that when we get to that point. You have the black sponge brush. You should have a makeup sponge. You should have the tiny little sanding block if you wanted to distress anything, or if any of the wood fibers start to pop up as you're painting them, that sanding block is used to just lightly knock those down. So if after you've painted something, if it feels rough to the touch, that just means those little fibers kind of stood up from the wet paint. And that sanding block works really great to just knock those down. So all you do is sand, after the paint is dried, sand it down a little bit, just lightly, and knock those off, and you'll be good to go. You don't need to sand it to the point where you remove items though. Oh, here it is. The sanding block just looks like a little nail file, and actually that's kind of what it is. So, and then you should also have your glue, and then a little baggie that's got your 7 clips, 7 screws, and then 2 D-rings and 2 screws for that. You also get some canvas or cardstock type paper, and we gave you about 28 of these, kind of thinking that could get you a month's worth of about, what is that, 3 weeks? 4 weeks. 4 weeks worth of dinners that you could add to these. And the size, if you run out of these, if you need more, you could always use cardstock, or even, and then cut them down. I can't think of it, index cards. And I've used index cards as well. Okay, so that is what you have in your kit. And then what you will need for your kit today is we're going to need a ruler to measure where we're going to put our clips. Obviously a rag, container of water, and a screwdriver. And so for the screwdriver, we want to have something that's kind of got more of the smaller tip, because these screws are so tiny. You want to make sure that your screwdriver is going to catch those, catch inside those little screws. So something about like that. I don't know if you can see that. Oh, it's probably not. Let me try this. So I've got just one with just a smaller head there. And I've got masking tape, and I'm just pulling up my list here because I always forget something. Let's see, where is it? And don't forget the instructions in the group. I put the instructions in the guide that also has a list of things that you need. And I'll probably just start adding what you need as a separate post in the group, just so that you can easily find that and not have to look for the instructions. So scissors, I have scissors on my list, but I don't think we need scissors. I think that is a typo. We do not need scissors. A pencil, that is right. A pencil, a ruler, masking tape, rinse cup, a rag. I did include a hammer, and I'll tell you why, but that is not absolutely necessary. The screwdriver, obviously a tablecloth, and I think that's it. Okay, so let's get started. So with mine, I don't have it with me. It's hanging up in my kitchen, but I'll show you the picture here. So I created a faux frame around mine, or fake frame around my board. And I used the antique wax as my frame, and then I painted it black, and everything else is white. One thing to note is I'm going to show you exactly how I made it this way. And as we create this frame, if you want your frame, let's say you want your frame to be black and you want the inside to be brown. You're going to do it opposite than what I show you, because the antique wax is kind of like a stain, and you're not going to be able to cover the black with the antique wax, and that will start to make more sense as we get started. So, all right, let me. I thought I had a pair of gloves here, but I guess not. All right, I'm going to use a wet one, or a baby wipe, I should say. Wet one was the brand of baby wipes back in the day when I had to buy baby wipes. And so when I asked my kids, go grab me a wet one, they're like, I don't know what you're talking about, Mom. I'm like, the baby wipes. Anyways, so if I say wet one, I mean baby wipe. It's what I used to call them, or what it was a brand of them, I guess. Okay. I just wiped it down. It had a little bit of sawdust on it from sitting in the garage. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to put our hangers on the back. That way we can work on the front. And if we leave the hangers to the end, when we go to put the hangers on, we're going to smash these little clips. So it's best to put them on first. The other thing to note is when you're looking at your board, all wood is different. It's a very natural, obviously, element. So you might have some knots, like I have a knot here. I have a knot here. Each side, or different, the front or the back might look better, or one side might look better. Sorry. One side might look better over the other. So inspect your board and figure out what you want. If you want your menu board to look more rustic and more worn, you might choose the side that has the more knots or dings or things like that. If you want it to look more finished and polished, choose the side that has less of that. So looking at my board, again, I have the knot there, a knot there. I'm okay with that. This one was one I wasn't going to ship out because it's got this huge, what used to be a knot here, and the piece fell out of this. So this is going to be my back, obviously. So if you have something smaller, we try to keep huge things like this out of the wood. But if you have a smaller gouge or something, you'd want that to be your back. Okay. So then the next thing to look at, so this is going to be my front. Now, what do I want as my top? I'm going to keep this knot down here to be my bottom of my board, because I want that to be kind of shown. And my menu is going to go across here, which might cover it up. And I want to see some of that those rustic elements in my board. Again, that's total preference, but just inspect your board and kind of see how you want that to look, where you want those pieces to be, if that's the case, if you want those to show. So this is going to be my top. And so I'm going to flip it over, and we're going to put our hangers along the top here. So to put your hangers on, I'm just going to take my ruler and put it right along the top like this. So a ruler is typically 1 inch wide. I think it's a little more, or maybe it's a little less. Either way, we're just going to use the width of the ruler to guide us on where we're going to put our D-rings. Once I have it up here, I'm going to go 1 inch from this corner. So I'm going to draw my line along the bottom of the ruler, and then I'm going to make a mark coming down off of where that 1 inch is. Okay. And then on the other side, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to draw a line along the bottom of the ruler, making sure that it's still aligned to the top here. And 1 inch from this side, I'm going to bring my line down. Now, if you didn't know, wood is never the exact measurement of the actual piece of wood that they call it. So this is a 1 by 10. And it came in 8 feet. We cut it down, sanded it for you and all that. But when you go to buy a 1 by 10, it's not 10 inches wide. There's a nominal dimension to wood. So you'll notice when you put your ruler on here, you'll probably be going, this is supposed to be 10 inches wide. Mine's only 9 1/4. That's the way wood works. So keep that in mind. We didn't shortchange you on the wood. That's just how lumber comes. If you buy, let's say, a 2 by 4, it's not 4 inches wide. It's actually 3 1/2. It's not 2 inches deep. It's actually 1 1/2. So there's some craziness in that. I'm not sure why they do it. Maybe the wood did come that way in the past and then it changed. I'm not sure. It's kind of crazy. At any rate, your wood is actually 9 1/4 wide. So as you're putting this on, just adjust your ruler so that you're 1 inch from each side. Okay. So you should have little marks on here. We're about 1 inch down from the top. We're 1 inch in from each side, and we've got our center points there that we're going to put our D-rings in. Let me see if I can I'm just going to make this a little bit darker, guys. I know it's kind of hard to see. So there we go. And that's what we're looking for. Okay. So I want you to look at all the screws in your bag. There are 2 screws in your bag here that are specific for the D-rings. And they have more of a rounded top. They're a little bit bigger, I think. Or maybe did we just do all the same? I think we just did all the same. Oh, wait. Here they are. Never mind. Okay. So let me show you the difference here. You have, let me grab a piece of paper. So let me see if I can get this to zoom in. This one with the rounded top is for the D-ring. So it's kind of got more of a curve along the top, and you have 2 of those, okay? This one with the flat top, so this is straight across flat, that is for your clips, okay? And you'll have 7 of those. Okay, so those are the difference between the 2. So I'm going to get my rounded ones out. Goes aside. And we're just going to take our screwdriver. And so what we did is we found the center for our holes in our D-rings. And I'm going to take my screw and I'm going to hold it here and just start pushing down and turning. And it takes a few seconds to catch that wood, but eventually it's going to start to bury itself in the wood. And once it does, you don't need to hold it anymore. You might want to just keep your fingers around it to guide it to make sure it doesn't, snap out of the hole that you've started. And we'll keep going until it's nice and tight. And as you start to get to the bottom, this thing will start to spin. So once you get to closer to the end, I would hold your D-ring with one finger just to keep it upright, keep it, you know, along the top there, so it doesn't spin on you. As I was making this, another option for you, just an idea, is I thought this would be super cool to put the D-rings on the side and run kind of a thicker, I don't know if it would maybe be like a more of a leather strap or something, but have you ever seen the mirrors or the pretty frames where they've got kind of like a buckle on the side and then leather that comes up and around to hang it from? And as I was putting this together, it kind of occurred to me. So anyone out there want to give that a try, there's an idea for you. And if you do try that, you don't have to add your D-rings until the end. You know, you want to have your piece finished before you add them to the side. But anyways, that's just a thought I had. As I create things and start to get creative, new ideas always seem to flow into my head as I'm going. All right, so now we're ready to hang. So now you can use these little D-rings and hang it on 2 nails. If you're using your board and you take it down and you want to be able to put it at the table while you menu plan, whatever that might be, and you don't want to have to deal with 2 nails and trying to hang it back up on there, you could run some string from the 2 and then just hang it with 1 nail too. So that's an idea as well. Okay, we are ready to get started here. So we are going to put our frame in first. And I'm going to grab my antique wax. And I really wish I would have brought gloves because I just did my nails. I just did my nails to take pictures of next month's Joy Box. And I know that this antique wax is not going to fare well. So I'm using just a wet rag or a baby wipe. You can use a damp napkin. And I am just going to rub this all along my edges. And I just want to go in just about 1 inch in. We don't need to cover this entire thing because we are gonna tape off the inside and paint the inside, so really not necessary to cover the whole thing. Just kind of working that wax into all the little grooves here. Sometimes you'll have these little rough spots in the wood. Little divots. I'm just pushing that in. Using a rag that's somewhat damp really helps push this wax further. Kind of keeps it wet so that you can get further with it, as opposed to if you used a dry rag, which works, you end up just being able to do smaller sections at a time. Wet or dry, either type of little napkin or rag will work to spread this wax. So if you wanted to use a black frame, if you wanted to do a black frame, you would use your black. If you wanted to do a gray frame, you would use that. Or a white frame. Now, if you wanted to have a brown center with, let's say, a black frame, you're going to just kind of go opposite of what we're doing here. Essentially, you want to put your wax down first, whether it's the frame or the center. So if you wanted to have the brown center, you're going to work on just this center piece, okay? You're not going to do the frame quite yet. So keep that in mind. I wish I would have had another board here so I could show you this two methods, but essentially, however your menu board is going to look, and if you want to use the brown wax on any part of it, that has to go down first. So if you're using the brown wax as a frame, you're going to fill in this frame like I am. If you want the brown wax to be your centerpiece, you're going to fill all of this in with the brown wax first, and then paint your frame second. And if you are still, if I'm not explaining that very well, I know it's kind of hard to, I'm a very visual person, so let me know if you have any questions on that and what should go first and what should go second, whatever option you choose. If there's any confusion there, please let me know. I'm happy to help. Okay, so I'm just making sure all of my bits on the corner. So on the end, we want to just make sure that that's filled in really nice. Press really hard to get in all the little grooves on the end. And then typically on the side, it's not nearly as hard because it's a little bit more smooth. And I'm just gonna fill in this little bit here, although most of this you won't see. Okay. We've got this side all nice and good. I think we're good. All right. All right, so we're gonna let that dry for a few seconds. I'm gonna pull out my blow dryer, and then we're gonna tape off the area so we can paint the inside of our menu board. And normally I wouldn't care about my hands at this point, but like I said, I just painted my nails, which doesn't happen very often, and so I don't want that wax to sit on my hands. Okay, let's blow dry this. Okay, so I am going to take my ruler and I'm going to measure in a 1/2 inch and make a little mark with my pencil. And I'm going down the edge and I'm making about 4 marks is about what I need here. Okay, and then once I've got that, we are going to tape off this brown part so we can paint inside that taped mark. And let's see, should I find my marks here? Okay, and then we're going to give it a nice rub, make sure that it's sealed really good. Okay, there's one side. And then we'll do the same on this side. I'm going to measure in a 1/2 inch. And on the shorter sides, I'm only going to give myself 3 marks. That's about all I need there to line up my tape. And take that off. Wrap it around there. Give it a nice good rub. Okay, so as I finish these next two sides, let's talk about if you are doing the stain first. So, or doing the stain inside. So if you want the brown on your inside, you're gonna stain inside this area, right? And then you're gonna still tape or still mark 1.5 inches in, but instead of taping on this side of your mark, you're gonna cover up on the inside. So you'll see those edges that you can then paint. Okay, so instead of this side, you're gonna go on the inside here, and then what's gonna need to happen, and I'm just gonna show you real quick on this corner here. So let's say I stained the inside of my board, and I'm ready to paint this black or white or gray, whatever that may be. What's gonna happen here is we have to clean this corner up. Okay, so we're gonna need, this is where the scissors came in. I knew I would forget. I knew there was a reason why. I'm gonna just cut back this piece here so it's shorter than the edge there. And then I'm gonna lift this up and cut this piece straight across to give me a nice corner here. So if you have stain inside, you're gonna want to put your tape on the inside of that 1/2 inch mark. And then at each corner, you're gonna wanna cut your tape so it's a nice 90-degree corner there. Okay, so that's what that's gonna look like if you've stained the inside. Okay, now if you're just going for a black and white board or a gray and white board and you're not using the stain at all, you can just follow along with what I'm doing and that would work as well. You only have to be careful of you only have to do it different if you're staining the inside. Okay, so 1/2 inch in, I'm gonna mark. And then I'm gonna tape that off. Okay. And then at the top here, come in 1/2 inch. There we go. Okay. So now we are getting ready to paint the inside black. And I'm just gonna take an old gift card and burnish the edges here. It's a crafty term for pressing hard against edges, I guess. Because I really want to make sure that my tape is down really well so that I don't have paint seeping under. And I might get some paint that seeps under just a little bit because wood is porous and there's little gouges and all of that happens with wood. My original has some areas where the black paint kind of seeped over, and I'll show you how to kind of clean that up as well. Okay, so now we're ready to paint. I am, like I said, gonna paint mine black. So I'll get a little bit of some black paint out. We can use our black sponge brush. And when you're painting this, another tip to help keep the paint from seeping under your tape is to pull from the tape the paint to the inside. So what I mean by that is I'm going to put my brush, my in screen, yes. I'm going to put my brush here and I'm going to pull the paint this way. You don't want to pull your brush strokes across the tape that way. Because as we go across the tape like this, paint can get underneath a lot easier. So as you're doing your board, put your brush on top of the tape and just pull that paint from that location. That way we're not pushing paint up underneath our tape, which happens when you go the other way. And I always just try and do kind of a light coat, not get too heavy, so that we don't want to have a lot of paint on our board. Again, excess paint can cause paint to seep under our tape as well. And as you're working in the middle, you can paint it however you want. There's no special way. If you have little areas where it's rough like this, it's kind of spotted and it's kind of getting hard to push that paint in there, grab your brush and just tap it, your spongy brush, and tap it on those little divots, those little voids, and it will get paint inside of those. So you get nice, good coverage. Or you could leave it as is, and it would create more of that rustic, worn look. Remember just to have a little bit of paint on your brush, especially as you work around your edges. Just work in small sections around those edges and go slow, and don't try and push paint under the tape or up against the tape. Okay, so now that I'm back down at this end, I'm going to go the other way with it. I'm going to set my brush on the tape and pull down, or pull left, I guess. And you could also just skip the frame part and paint the entire thing just one color. And that would be just as beautiful. You could incorporate some of the different techniques we've done in the past, like with the church, where we put the brown wax on everything, and then we used some Vaseline with the white paint and get a really fun chippy look on this, which would be super cool. And then you could either stain your letters or paint your letters black. And you could do that and have a frame as well, or no frame. So many different ways you could do this, and I encourage you to make it your own, however finish you want to use on it, frame or no frame. These are just so great in the kitchen. I think they're so pretty, and it's just a nice way to display your menu in a stylish way. Okay, let's see. So I'm going to let that dry, and I'm going to work on my letters next. So we'll set that up there. And I'm going to get my tape out to hold down my letters as I paint them. So make sure that as you put your letters down that they are the right way. Another little tip that you can do, and sometimes it's not as obvious on all the letters, but the backs tend to have what's called flashback from the laser. So there's these just little flashes of soot as the laser kind of went through some of the metal tray, kind of creates a flashback, it's called. So if you see those, that typically means it's the back side of the letter. And so the front side will not have any of those. So that's a little tip on how to determine. Sometimes, especially like with M's and W's, they're pretty, depending on the font, like this W could go either way, front or back. The M, I think, could go either way, front or back. So it kind of just depends on the font if it's versatile that way or not. But just going to connect these up here. Hi, Lena, how are you? You're having a good afternoon? All right. So I'm going to do mine in white. And grab my makeup sponge here. I'm actually going to grab a smaller one. I have one that I was using for something else, so we'll just reuse that one and save that full one for another time. For those of you who are new this month, let me just explain what I did. So sometimes I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I always forget that there's new people every month. And so I need to remember to just repeat myself. For those of you who are seasoned Joybox members, you can fast forward this part of the video. But at any rate, I like to reuse my makeup sponges. You can get a lot of use out of just one of these. I typically cut mine down the center so that I get essentially two paint brushes with it, two sponges. I use the large part of the sponge. This is the handle part for me. Okay, and then I like to even take it one step further, and after I'm done painting with this, I will let it dry and then just clip off the hardened part, and I can get 2 or 3 projects, painting projects, out of just a half of this. So I can get about 6 projects out of this. So let me show you one that I don't wash them because that just takes too much time. So essentially I did a green project the other day on this. I'll just leave it on my pad or wherever and let it harden so it's got this hard surface now. And this one I didn't cut in half. I was painting a large green area that needed a larger surface there. But after this gets hard, we can just clip that off, and now we have essentially another makeup sponge to use for the next project. So that was what I meant when I said I had this little bit left from another project. I was just going to use that. And we send you makeup sponges. Typically, if the project needs a makeup sponge, you get one in your box every time. I only let you know that little trick if you are crafting with other things. You could possibly use that makeup sponge on another craft outside of the joy box, I guess. Don't feel like you have to do that so that you have a makeup sponge for the next joy box. You'll get one in there. And if you want to, if you don't have any other crafts to use them for, then you can just toss them. Okay, so for applying paint using the makeup sponge, one thing I want to point out is you do not want to have a lot of paint on your end. So I'm not sure, let's see if I can get that to focus a little bit. There is a huge glob of paint, and if I were to go and tap that on my letter, that paint is going to run off the edge and cause kind of a messy blob on my little cutout there. So what you want to do is you want to load it up. So I go right into the paint, and then I tap and unload it on another surface. And so now that paint has kind of gotten into those sponges and it's nice and clean. There's no excess paint on the end. And so as I come in and just do a gentle tap, 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 pouncing, tapping, whatever you want to call it, I get a nice, clean paint surface, and I don't get any paint on my edges. There might be just a tiny bit there, but I don't have any falling off the surface, and I get a nice clean edge there. So keep that in mind as you're using your makeup sponge. You just want to have a very minimal amount of paint on your makeup sponge. And with this method, because we're applying such a light coat, you might need 2 coats. Typically with white, you do need 2 coats anyways, no matter how much paint you put down, just because it's, you know, a lighter color. If you're painting your letters black, you'll probably find you only need 1 coat. And it kind of just depends on the wood too. All wood is different. It's going to take paint different, especially the letters. They're cut out from birch plywood, which is essentially a bunch of pieces of wood glued together to give us the thickness. And depending on how that was all manufactured, I mean, there's so many variables in what wood's gonna do. It could soak up that paint really well, and so you need 2 or 3 coats. It might have a different type of finish where just 1 coat is gonna work. So it kind of just varies on the wood. So if you need 2 coats, if you need 3, if you just need 1, you be the judge of that with your pieces and how you want that to look. But do nice light coats just to help keep your edges clean. Okay, so I'm going to bring this up to you so you can kind of see it. This is a first coat, and it's very splotchy looking. We can kind of still see some of that wood grain. So I'm going to let that dry, and we'll come back with a second coat. The good thing about doing light coats is they dry super fast, and I could even probably go back on these ones so that you can continue working. If I were to put a big heavy coat on this, it would take forever to dry. I would probably mess up the finishes and all of that. So okay, let's see, where are we at? Is this dry? All right, that's dry. I'm going to take my tape off. We'll see how well we did. Yeah, looking okay. I have a little bleeding right here where this is kind of a rough part of the wood. So it's not a very crisp line, but I'm okay with that. Far away, it's going to look fine. If you get an area that has a lot of bleeding, what you can do is take a baby wipe or a rag. Baby wipes are just so versatile. Just take a baby wipe, put it in your fingernail here, and just rub right along that area. What will happen is you might rub away your wax, but what you can do then is just put a piece of tape on this side and re-wax it. But that if it's a huge bleed, if it's something small like you see here, I wouldn't worry about it. But if it's something that maybe it kind of came out over here and there was just this huge glob, take your baby wipe or a wet rag and just bring it along that edge and just keep working it. It's not going to come, the black isn't kind of, or the paint, I should say, whatever color you're using, isn't going to come off in the first swipe. But it will eventually come off and then you can just re-wax that area. Or if you painted this, you could just paint right back over it. That's another option. It's a great thing about painting projects is most things are fixable. Okay, so we're going to put our second coat on our letters here. So I know not everyone had mentioned being menu planners or having the need to be menu planners. So let us know in the comments if you are gifting your project to anybody. This would make, if you're not a menu planner, this would make an amazing gift to somebody. A new mom maybe, or a friend who has kids, or a large family. I always think this would be a great wedding gift. And again, because I'm just an avid menu planner, I would really appreciate that as a gift. But then my husband's like, I don't know. I don't know about that as a wedding gift. I'm like, well, people get kitchen gadgets and things for a wedding gift. Why not a menu board? But maybe not. Maybe this would assume too much. I don't know. I don't know where he was going with that, but let me know what you think in the comments. Good wedding gift or not? Okay, second coat down. That is looking fantastic. We've got some really great coverage, covered up all that wood. And I'm going to put that aside while we put our clips on, and then we will glue those bits on after we get our clips in place. Okay. Let's see. So I'm going to write my measurements down here on this piece of paper to have next to me. So as you're making yours, you can screenshot it or pause it to get the measurements you need. But what we're going to do is we're going to, so find your top, remember where your clips are, look at where your clips are. So this is my top, this is my bottom. My menu is going to sit here, my letters are going to run down this way. Okay, so keep, determine that. And so I'm putting this next to me here. And so what we want is, we want to go 3 inches in from the edge. Let's see if I can make this. Let me grab my marker. And these dimensions are on the instructions, the written instructions in the guides if you need them after the fact. So we're going to go 3 inches from the edge. We're going to start at the bottom clip and we're going to go up 1.5 inches. For our first clip. And then after that, so this is going to be clip 1. And then from the next, for the next clips, we're going to do 2 inches. Okay. I don't know if I'll be able to get. Okay. So I'm going to set that there. And we will get our tool out to measure here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to measure 3 inches in, and with my pencil I'm going to lightly put a line here. You're not going to be able to see it on screen probably. You might be able to with the black. And then I'm going to go down and put another 3-inch mark, and then a little bit further down, and then I'm going to draw a line. And if you don't want to draw a line, you don't have to. I was able to successfully erase my lines after, so keep your pencil marks nice and light. But if you didn't want to mark up your surface, you could just put a couple small marks and then put your tape here to start that 3-inch line. So you could do that as well. And maybe I'll do that so it's easier to see. Okay, so my 3-inch line is running all the way down my board. And that will help you see it too, okay? Now, the first clip is 1.5 inches from the bottom. So I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to go up 1.5 and make a mark. And we'll bring out my marker here. So we've got 3 inches there, or 1.5 inches there. Now for the next clip, it's 2 inches. So I'm going to start my ruler here at the mark I just made, and I'm going to go up 2 inches and put a little line there. And I'll put a nice big fat line there so you can see that. So this, for me, I start my week on Monday. So this is Saturday, Sunday, or Sunday, Saturday. Let's go backwards. And then we're going to go another 2 inches and put a mark. So that's my Friday. And then 2 inches. There's my Thursday. 2 inches. There's my Wednesday. 2 inches. Tuesday. 2 inches. Monday. Okay, so we've got 7 marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I'm going to push that off to the side. And then the next thing you're going to do is just take your little clip and line it up to your mark. Okay, and then we're going to get our screwdriver and we're going to screw in kind of from the side. So our screw isn't going to probably be straight up and down. It's going to kind of be at an angle because we're going to come in at an angle so we can get past this top little clip. Now, one thing that can be helpful, and this is where the hammer came in. Let me grab mine. Sometimes if we get a little hole started, it helps when we're screwing something in. So you can use the little screws here that we have, and I'm going to line it up. They're just kind of hard to hold, and we can just do a little tap. and it just puts a little divot where that mark is. And again, just having something small, a little starter hole, can be helpful, okay? If you have a hard time holding this, you can use tweezers to hold it. And then I also have a nail here somewhere. I know I brought it. It's probably lost. Probably should, oh, there it is. You can always use a nail as something to start the hole. So again, put that on your spot, tap it in, just a nice gentle tap, enough that you can pull the nail out, but we're starting this little hole for the screw to grasp into, and that is super helpful when you're working with tiny little screws like that. And this isn't a good technique, so don't tell anyone this, but you can always use just the tip of your screwdriver and just kind of press in as well. If you were to talk to anybody in an actual woodworking shop, they'd probably tell you not to do this. But if you don't have a nail or a hammer, you could just, a gentle press isn't going to hurt your screwdriver. And that just starts that hole for you, okay? All right, so I'm going to take my tape off now so it doesn't get in my way when I'm putting my little brackets in, or my little clips. So I'm going to set my bracket. So in this little hole right here, that little hole on the back side, this is the part that's going to sit on our wood. We're going to put a screw through that little hole right there, okay? And so I'm going to lay that little hole over that starter hole I created, and then I'm going to slide this in and get my screwdriver in there and start screwing that in. Just take your time, go slow. It takes, you know, I've made quite a few of these, and the first couple times I made them, you know, once you, it takes practice, I guess, is what I'm saying. So don't get frustrated with your little clips and your screws. Just go slow. And then as you get to the end, make sure that it's, you know, level where you want it, and then tighten it down. Give it one last little go round. Again, if you're having a hard time holding your screw, you can use little tweezers. And I don't know if I have any right in here. Usually I do. Little tweezers or even a bobby pin. I've seen people use little bobby pins to hold them. So I'm kind of holding it from around the clip this way. Again, it's kind of at an angle. Make sure that we're in our slot, and I'm just gonna give it some nice gentle twists as I'm pushing down. You wanna give it pressure as you're twisting your screwdriver. So you're gripping that wood, and then once it gets started, then it's just about 10 more twists and you're good to go. So I'm going to make sure that it's nice and level. Okay, next one. And if you have a small enough screwdriver, you might be able to just go straight down through that top little clip hole instead of trying to do it at an angle. I just didn't have a small enough screwdriver to do that. And if you're just If the screws just aren't working well for you, you can always use some E600 glue and just put a little dab of glue where you want your clip to be and then glue it down. And E600 is a super, super strong glue, stronger than super glue, and it's kind of goopy, so it kind of fills in areas and can give you a really good hold. So that's another option if you're just not really wanting to use the screws. That's okay. Just grab yourself some E600 glue and use that. Now the E600 glue takes, I think it's 36 hours to set up, to cure completely. So keep that in mind. Read the instructions on the bottle. I want to say it's either 24 hours or 36 hours. Maybe it's even 72. I can't remember. But make sure that is key to that glue, is the cure time. Don't throw your clips on with that glue and then start, using it and putting pressure on the clips before that cure time, because you'll just end up popping off the clips from the glue. It's really vital that you let that cure the entire time so that your clips stay connected. And you also, if you're particular about the screws being silver, we've got these really beautiful clips. So here I've screwed it down too tight and I can't adjust it. So I'm just going to back it out a little bit, unscrew it, make sure it's nice and straight, and then tighten it back down. Anyway, if, we've got these really great antique gold clips, and if you want to paint your little screws so they're not so shiny silver bright, you absolutely can do that. Just a little dab of some black paint on them will help get rid of that shiny silver. I keep over tightening it and then I can't adjust it, so there we go. All right, last one. And then we can glue our letters on. Or our letters. There we go. All right, so remember, it's 3 inches in for the center of where your screws are going to go. It's 1 inch, 1.5 inches from the bottom, and then 2 inches after that to get all of these lined up and still have enough room at the top for your menu letter. This one I'm going to go Sunday through Saturday, because I'll probably gift this one, and not everybody does their start of the week on Monday. That just makes sense for me. So let me know when the start of your week is. Is it Monday? Sunday? And so all I'm going to do then is, let's see, at this point, before I glue these down, I'm going to come in and erase my pencil mark. And if I had accidentally, at this point, put too heavy of a pencil mark. Maybe my hand was a little too heavy in certain areas. I can see if I need to touch up any paint. And then I can just come in with my black and cover that pencil mark if I wanted to. There we go. Brush this away. Just make sure. Okay. So now I'm just going to eyeball this part. And I'm going to have my menu kind of come at an angle here. I like how that looks where the M is kind of sticking up out of my frame, but you could push it all the way down inside. But I'm going to just kind of have a little fun with that placement and kind of adjust these. Make sure that you get an overview. Place all your items and then look at it above. If you need to take a picture of it so you can get a better look, do that. I'm really lucky I have my overhead camera on it so I can kind of see where things are. I think that looks good. All right. Then we're going to take our little super glue, and this is a one-time use super glue. There is a piece inside the applicator that will pierce the bottle for you, so you don't have to find a nail, a needle, or anything like that. As soon as you screw your applicator on, it's going to pierce the bottle for you. So with that in mind, make sure that as you're starting to screw this on, that you're holding it by the seam and not up here. If you hold it up here as you screw this on, glue will squirt out. So hold it down here at the seam, and then we're just gonna slowly, and I also kind of keep my bottle upright. I don't wanna hold it like this. Again, as we pierce that bottle, there's gonna be some pressure released and glue will come down onto my surface. So keep it upright, hold it by the seam, and then just slowly squeeze your applicator. You can always, I always can hear it kind of have that pressure release. And there we go. Okay, so now we're ready to glue on our piece. This is super glue, so not really necessary to cover the entire surface. I typically just add a couple little dabs of glue here and there. And then I'll lay it down. And I got glue on my fingers already. And then I'll press. Super glue dries super fast, so you don't have a lot of play time with this. Try and have all your pieces lined up and where you want them before you start gluing down, because it does set up fairly fast. I think it's like 15 seconds. And yeah, we're good there. Okay. I just had a thought and I can't remember what I was going to say. Dang it. I'm really trying to remember what I was going to say. I feel like it was semi-important, or maybe it was just a story, I guess. I don't know. All right, we got 2 more left, and this project is done. Make sure to, as you finish your project, to post pictures. I love seeing everybody's unique creations. It's such an amazing thing that, as creatives and artists, even though we're all working on the same project, we all do it a little different, which is awesome. And so posting pictures is just such a cool way to show off your work, and it helps build confidence. So the more we share, the more confident we become, and the more confident we become, the more we create and create uniquely. So we're more likely to try new things when we build that confidence. And that confidence comes with sharing our art. So this is a safe space in this group. I encourage you to share your creations. You can share other creations with us, and we'd love to see them. And there we go. We are done. Doesn't that just look sharp? I love this project. Like I said, I've always been a meal planner, and back in the day, I would just print out a weekly meal planner and stick it to my what was I gonna say? Stick it to my fridge, and then it kind of graduated into kind of an Excel spreadsheet I would use, and then I did that for like a year, and then we had a magnetic board, a whiteboard, and just recently, within the last couple years, we've had a book that's sat on our countertop. We have kind of a catch-all basket on our countertop, and so this book was really great because it allowed us to kind of look back at other project or other dinners that we had. And so that was something we used for a long time. And I've been wanting to make one of these. I made some for a class a couple of years ago, but we never really had a space for the ones I made in the class. The ones that I made in the class were super long. And so I just taken a little black paint and rubbing it on my screws because they're glaringly bright silver, and it doesn't really, I don't like how it looks on my board. So anyways, I just painted those little tops black, and I think that helps so they're not so shiny. So anyways, I have been wanting to do something kind of fun with my menu, but also have the capability to have a running list of our dinners, because when we make our menu, one of the biggest things that we get hung up on as we're sitting there staring at the week's menu is, what do we want? Nobody wants to think about the dinner 5 days from now. It's kind of like, what do we want to eat? What do we want to eat? I don't know. What do you want to eat? And so then we ask the kids, what do you guys want for this week's? I don't know. Anyways, so this is kind of nice. The book was nice because it allowed us to always look back at that book. We never tore the pages out. We just kept flipping through it, and so we could go back and look. And so after using that, I saw this. I remembered I had this, and these little cards are great for a way to give you inspiration for dinners. So now we sat down and we wrote all our dinners that we like to do. And there's probably some that we'll think of that we forgot that one day, but we wrote down, 90% of the dinners we like to do. Hamburger, pizza, stroganoff, meatloaf, those type of things. And now we have these little tags that when it comes time to meal planning, and I'll talk about this on Sunday or Saturday, one of the days, but it just makes it nice to be able to go, oh yeah, that sounds good, and then throw that on your menu. So having a list of favorite dinners that you like is helpful. So you also have these little cards, which leads me into that you can write your list of favorite dinners on, and then from that you just clip these on here and you're good to go. You have your meal for the week. And so I hope you guys enjoyed this craft. I hope you are finding time to get some creative time in and enjoying that time. There we go. Super cute, right? All right. So let me know if you have any questions. I know the frame part with the antique wax was a little convoluted, and so if you have any questions regarding that, please let me know. And I hope that you enjoy your menu board. I will probably chat with you in the next coming days to visit with you about meal planning. So I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Lana. I can't wait to see yours. Your Valentine's flowers were beautiful. I haven't had a chance to get in the group and comment, but I loved them. So, all right, guys, have a great day, and we will chat with you later. Bye.